The Last Showgirl. That's right, folks. This is the new film from Gia Coppola. No, not that Coppola. No, not that Coppola either. Or that one. The other Coppola. It's a new Coppola movie. Yeah, cool, exciting. This one has gotten some awards recognition, in particular for the lead actress, Pamela Anderson, which is really exciting. Let's get this out of the way. This is a Pamela Anderson positive channel. We love Pamela Anderson here. I love Pamela Anderson here. I think she's fun. I think she's nice and sincere and authentic and sweet and has been put through hell and back in this industry. But I dig her. I love her. I'm glad that she can do something like this because this movie is so my energy. I really liked it. I can't sit here and tell you it's perfect or that it's going to work for everybody. There are some limitations that you can very obviously notice with the budget and with the time constraints of where we're filming, but I like it. I think it's cool. I think there's some interesting choices being made, and I'm very, very positive on every single main performance in this piece. And I think that's really cool. Now, this is the story of an aging beauty in the Las Vegas showgirl scene. She has been working at this one club, doing this one routine called the Razzle Dazzle since the 80s. And now it's the modern times, and Las Vegas is changing, man. Things are different. They're more sexual and abrupt and loud and in your face. So the show is closing, and she doesn't know what she's going to do with the rest of her life. Does she conform to the times? Does she go a different direction? Where does she go? I love that story. I love everything about that narrative. It's really cool. A fun idea. I'm a Las Vegas fanatic. I love that city. I love the energy of that city. I like the idea of the glitz and glamour of it as opposed to the seediness that can come from, we're just watching sex on a stage. I don't like that either. I am all for, here's people in a top burlesque show that's just having fun and doing some dancing and stuff, and I really appreciate that. And there does seem to be a lot of research involved in like the evolution of these shows, what these people are doing, and I think that's really cool and interesting. Where this movie doesn't work for me in every single aspect is, surprisingly, the cinematography and camera choices. There is some very shallow depths of field here where things are blurred out and out of focus for a lot of it. Our main person is in focus, and that's it. Some very tight, shaky cams. Everything is very close and up personal in your face, which I think is supposed to be the feeling of like it's claustrophobic and we're trapped here. And we're kind of like receding into ourselves of like the last effort of this. I don't like a lot of that stuff. It can get very jarring, very in your face, almost headachy at times, and that upsets me. That is not really Las Vegas, you know? So that doesn't work. But then you use that same technique, and we have shots of our characters walking down, you know, the streets, and we see like there's Excalibur, there's the MGM, there's all this stuff, the stratospheres in the background and everything. I'm like, this kind of works a little bit more. We're just like up close for so much, and there's some shots that just aren't in focus, and that to me is time restraints. That is just an artistic style that doesn't work for me in particular. But I know what we're going for, so I can't say it's great, but I know what we're doing. It's fine. You're doing a choice. It's not a great one, but you made the choice, and I will have to respect that for happening. And that is, I will say, the case for a lot of the performances in this too. I like them all. I think every single performance is very strong. The supporting cast, the younger supporting cast, they probably are the less interesting characters. Well, they are for sure, because they don't get much to do. But Kiernan Shipka and Brenda Song and Billy Lord, three very different characters, three very different actresses, all struggling in their world in different ways. Can you go home again? Are you too old? Are you too out of touch? What is it that you want to do with your life? I like a lot of their stuff there. Very interesting. You work through a lot of very complex characters and have stuff to say about like this industry, and that's something that we don't explore a lot either, is like this is a Hollywood type story, but it's in a more glitzy and provocative way. And I think that's really cool. The supporting characters who are very good and have a lot going on here are the more aged actors. And the first one we're going to talk about is Dave Bautista, who is doing something we have yet to see him do on screen. And my God, does it work. My goodness. This is where you see him making the departure from the other guys who were wrestlers. And we've seen him do that a bunch before for a lot of the choices he makes. But this is him like, I'll dress myself up. I will look like a big, tough, strong man, but I am vulnerable and broken in every single scene. I'm upset with myself and the choices I've made in my life. I feel like I'm trapped here and I'm losing a part of like what this city was, what I was in it. It's a brilliant performance. He looks like Chris Christopherson. I'm obsessed with it. So good. And Jamie Lee Curtis, who is getting SAG. Was she SAG nominated for this performance? That's crazy to me. I have very mixed on modern Jamie Lee Curtis. She says some really weird stuff just in her personal life. And that's how, like, you can separate that from the movie. This is a good performance. I think it's good. I think she's funny. She's very compelling and is committing in a way we have rarely seen her commit to other stuff. There is both a cheeky vulnerability to her that we rarely see her exude. I don't know. I guess if she didn't win for that one, this would be the one I'd say, like, yeah, this is like the career goal. Like, she is showing you that she's been here from the beginning and this is where her career's fallen to, kind of. It's brilliant in some ways. And, well, I don't know if it's going to make my personal list for Best Supporting Actress. I understand where some people are inclined to think this is brilliant. Because it kind of is. It kind of is. But the standout, obviously, is Pamela Anderson as Shelley. My God, this is what I've been waiting for from my lovable little Anderson. I think this is fantastic. What she is doing, how she's commanding it. I know that's her voice. And that is one of the key strengths that this performance has, is Pamela Anderson's voice, because she just sounds so vulnerable and so timid. And she has to be a surrogate mother to people. She has to be a real mother to people. She has to pretend like nothing is bothering her when the world's collapsing around her. But she's also very like neurotic in some senses too, which I genuinely didn't think Pamela Anderson could do. There are sequences in this movie where she's just like talking to herself while she's getting ready for the big Showgirl number. And she's like, the price of lemons have just gone up so much. Like, how can we afford to buy lemons? They're just a garnish. I'm like, yes, this is the stuff that Pamela has told us she could do from the beginning, but we've never let her attempt. And this is where you get a good casting director to be like, that is Pamela Anderson. Because that is, man. She gets mad and very like upset with herself. She gets frantic. She gets nervous. She gets anxious. She gets to be beautiful. She gets to play ugly. This is an insanely good performance of somebody who has been through it and is still going through it. It's just like, this is truly the last chance I have to prove I can do this thing that I've told you I could do. And she is doing it. That is both her character in the movie and Pamela Anderson as an actress. And man, oh man, does it work on both accounts. She is so good at this role. It was tailor-made for her. When she has to show you that she does not like what Las Vegas has become, and that she has to like find her place in this new system. Oh, it's heartbreaking. We see like sequences of her. There's some really good editing and there's some bad editing, but like the good editing is just, she is doing ballet and she's like, this is a French art form of the most beautiful, magnificent. And you cut that with just like seedy sexual stuff and people showing their boobs all the time. And she's like, I don't fit into this world, but I can't escape it. It is about the sacrifices we make as an artist and how that just drives you to being the person you want. There are some really interesting revelations along the way of character and their relationships to each other and how they feel about stuff. And just like the changing of Las Vegas. Like, it is an industry unto itself. It's a world unto itself. And it used to be this one thing. You know? It's changed a lot. And this is something that's also talking about not just like the changing in the Hollywood system and how we make movies and stuff, but the glitz and glamour of old school Las Vegas just isn't what's selling anymore. People want like sleazy, dirty, different types of cabaret where it's more just like aggressive in your face as opposed to showy and authentic and that kind of stuff. Pamela Anderson leading a spearhead of like old school Vegas was better? Oh, I'm there. I'm first in line. I'm trying to think of like Pamela Anderson and like why I connect with her so much. I think it's just the vulnerability, the authenticity to what she's doing on screen, and how I know her story and how I feel like she has persevered through a lot. She is somebody where, look, I don't normally get starstruck. I'm not someone who's like celebrity worship, but if I met Pamela Anderson and we like had a conversation, I would feel so comfortable being vulnerable with her, and I feel like she'd be very comforting if I started to cry. And I can't say that for a lot of other actresses out there or a lot of other actors out there. I feel like her and Batista actually would both be people who would be comfortable with the vulnerability that you'd show. And maybe that's why their relationship and their connection in this movie is just so interesting, because you get the idea of like, this is our lives, what we've built here. We didn't get super far into our career, but we had this show and we had each other, and now both of those things are leaving. So where do we go from here? You get that from both ends of these people. It's brilliant. Couple of weird cinematography and depth of field choices I don't like, and really close-up claustrophobic camera shots. But we do get a nice payoff. For the most part, the movie doesn't show us like the actual like burlesque number that the Showgirls do, and then at the end we get that, and you're like, this is something that hasn't been in Vegas for a while. Like this type of show, you see it on like the Strip and like the streets of the Strip, and people like dressed up like these classic Showgirls, but the vintage classic, we're doing like the casual numbers. We're not seeing that. And seeing the beauty that she personifies in those final moments where she is this top showgirl compared to her thinking she has to like do like the classic, here we go, the Pat Benatar song, I'm whoring myself essentially to get the achievement of continuing to work here. It's brilliant. Oh, and Jason Schwartzman shows up and is like, pretty, maybe 50 years ago. I genuinely like this movie. I think it's very interesting. And Pamela, my sweet, sweet Pamela, I want more from you. Baby, please give us more. This is your time. Let's go. Have your Jamie Lee Curtis moment. So, The Last Showgirl. I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And of course, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.